So I wanted to start out by demonstrating how you can very easily get access to the Windows ADK as well as the Microsoft Deployment Toolkit. Probably the easiest way to do it is just open up a web browser, go to a search engine, and search for some keywords. So in my case, I'm going to search for download Windows ADK for Windows 10. I'm going to go to this very first download link here. This is going to let me get the latest edition of the ADK. And the latest edition of ADK is right here. Download the Windows ADK for Windows 10 version 1903. So I'm going to click that, and then it's going to ask me if I want to run the file or save it. I'm going to run it. It's just a very lightweight download, and it's going to check for updates on it, and then it's going to allow me to start the install. Okay, so relatively quick. As you can see, here it is on my screen, and it's given me an estimate of how much disk space this is going to use, a default location of where it's going to put it. I'm just going to store it in the default location. And then from there, it's going to allow me to send anonymous information to Microsoft if I wanted to. I can choose yes or no to that. And at that point, I'm going to accept the license agreement, sign over my firstborn child again. And then from there, I can select the different capabilities that I want. So we talked about most of these in that previous lecture. So I can go through here and select what I want. I've even got Media Experience Analyzer, which is a graphical analysis tool that you can get for analyzing your graphics cards and stuff like that. I'm going to go ahead and click now to install this. It's going to make me accept the user account control capability. If you don't know what that is, that's something that will get discussed later. And then it's going to go ahead and install. Now at this point, I'm going to pause recording for a second and wait on it to get done, and then we'll start back. Okay, so after the download of all the files, we finally made it to the finishing screen here. It says, welcome to the Windows Assessment Deployment Toolkit. And I'm going to hit close on that. All right, and from there, I can click Start and scroll down, and I have a folder called Windows Kits, and this is where my tools are all showing up at. All right, so I can get in there and utilize these different tools. Okay, I'd like now to show you the MDT. So I'm going to do the same thing. All you got to do is just go to a search engine, and to download MDT, just type download. Helps if you spell correctly, MDT. And here it is right here, Microsoft Deployment Toolkit. I'm going to click that and click the download button here. Keep in mind that you can download the MDT on a server as well, and if you're working with what is known as a Windows deployment server, you're going to definitely want to put that on there also. So I've put on a Windows 10 machine as though maybe this is my admin workstation and I want to control images from my admin workstation, but you can put it on a server as well. Okay, now notice there's two versions of this. There's x64 and there's x86. x86 is the 32-bit version if you were doing this on a 32-bit computer as opposed to a 64-bit. So 86, even though it's a bigger number, is actually not better. We're going to go with 64 because this is a newer computer operating system. So we're going to select that right there. We're going to click Next. All right, at that point, it's going to go ahead and download that Microsoft Deployment Toolkit. And if I want, I can say Run as soon as it's ready to download, and it will pop up on my screen here. Okay, as you can see, here it is, the install for it. I'm just going to click Next, sign the agreement. Okay, I can choose things I want to install. I'm just going to install everything, and I'm going to take the default here, Next. It says, all right, do I want to participate in the customer experience? I can choose yes or no to that, essentially. And then at that point, I'm going to click to install. Select UAC, User Account Control, and as you can see, it is now going through the process of the install of MDT. So MDT is very quick to install, definitely faster than Windows ADK because there's not as much going on there. So then I would click Finish. All right, from there, I can hit Start, and there is the Deployment Toolkit, Deployment Workbench that shows up. Requires admin rights to utilize. And this is what it looks like. Now, the first thing, just right out of the gates, I have this thing called the deployment share, and you're going to notice that there's nothing there at the moment. The deployment share is where all of your assets are going to be for your deployment workbench. So your images are going to be pointing, you're going to be pointing to your images from there. You're going to be pointing to drivers and applications that maybe you want to deal with imaging. All of that stuff will be linked to this deployment share. So all I got to do is just right click that. I could say new deployment share, give it a default location, but my default location is just C:/deployment share. Okay, give it a share name because it is going to be a network path. Okay, it says what do you want to call it? Well, description wise, MDT deployment share. From there, it's going to ask me if when I'm actually going through the wizard for creating the deployment processes in the deployment toolkit, it's going to ask me if I want to use certain wizards, like ask if the computer backup should be performed, ask if product key is selected or specified, ask if the local administrator password should be put in. That can sometimes be a security risk because it'll be stored in clear text. But it's not a problem if you end up changing it later. We're going to talk about tools that'll let you do that. Ask if an image should be captured. Ask if BitLocker should be enabled. You can turn these on or off. I'm just going to turn them all on. And then next, and at that point, next again, and it's configuring my little deployment share. Doesn't take too long to create the deployment share, and then at that point you can then start importing in your assets. So that'll be things like applications and drivers and images and all that. So I'm going to click finish. All right, pulling the workbench back up here, expanding deployment share. Now you can see that I can actually see everything here. So I can pull in applications if I want. Operating system images can be pulled in, out-of-box drivers, packages that maybe I want to deploy. That gets into the ICD, Imaging Configuration Designer. There's task sequences that can help automate things. There's even some advanced config you can do and some monitoring capabilities that you can do there. And as you can see here, though, as I click on that, it says no monitoring data is available because monitoring is not enabled for this deployment share. So I haven't actually turned on monitoring yet, so it just throws a little error on that. But that is something that can be turned on, and you can use it for monitoring the actual deployment processes. So that just gives you guys a quick rundown of the MDT, how to get it installed and set your little deployment share up.